Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo and I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado, and this is your January 2026 monthly weather summary. New year, new color scheme. I hope this is okay. This is probably the first time I've done a color scheme just solely in Google Slides, and it's a little bit more of a pain than I'm used to. Because unlike the themes in Microsoft where you can just go in and color pick, it's a little bit more fussy than that. But I think it turned out okay. I think it looks pretty nice. And also, if you're a fan of the printed up weather summaries, those also have a new color scheme, and they will be linked below. So starting off for our story of the month, unfortunately the month of January was honestly on a bit of the uneventful side. The last several months honestly have been, we've seen a lot more warm and dry than we have, interesting weather. But for our story of the month here, we had a foggy start to the new year. So we did actually see some precipitation over the New Year holiday. And with that rain and snow that actually made it down to valley floors, that moisture kind of got trapped underneath our typical wintertime inversions, and we saw fog develop. This one particularly was sloshing around the I-70 corridor, producing periods of particularly dense fog, as you can kind of see on some of these in Loma and Crescent Junction, where the visibility is nearly zero, definitely below a quarter of the mile. You can even see that at the Grand Junction image here, and as well as at the Utah-Colorado state line. This was also probably the first day that a lot of people were back to work after the holidays, so definitely kind of a rough commute, a little bit of a rough start to the year, but certainly an interesting event. The first real dense fog event we've had in a little while, so worth noting. Moving on to our statistical roundup, we have our highest temperatures of the month, starting off at the top with a 56 in Cortez on the 13th. And at the bottom, our lowest, warmest high was 48 in Vernal on the 31st. A little bit of a scatter shot here. We did see periods where of much above normal temperatures broken by occasional dips to near or slightly below normal. So some of these occurred during that first burst of above normal temperatures on the 4th and the 5th. Some of these occurred during that second burst on the 13th and the 14th. And some of these occurred during the last one right around the 31st. And if you've been keeping up with the weather so far in February, you'll know that this last one on the 31st is still going. We are still 15 to 20 degrees above normal. If you like warm weather, that's great. If you're a fan of winter, it's not been that awesome. Moving on to our low temperatures, we did actually see some reasonably low temperatures in the month of January. We actually saw some seasonably low temperatures in the month of January even. Our lowest low was in Craig on the 26th with a negative 17. If you remember last year, this is like nothing compared to what we saw last year. But I mean, it's better than what we have been seeing, which is lows in Craig in like the 20s and 30s, that's not normal for Craig. Craig usually is a pretty cold spot in our area, but there just hasn't been a lot of snow, and so we haven't been getting that cold pool development that we would typically expect to see. Our warmest, lowest low was in Canyonlands on the 22nd, and that was 14 degrees. Grand Junction actually made it down to 10. It's pretty impressive because we've barely made it below 30 for a lot of this winter. And Meeker and Aspen kind of round out our bottom three, although Durango and Rifle did also see negative temperatures for their lows. So something a little bit more expected for January, especially when you go back and look and see what we had for December. Precipitation-wise, not the greatest. We definitely saw a, generally speaking, dry January, with the only exceptions here being Montrose and Canyonlands, where they did actually see some slightly above normal precipitation for the month. And funnily enough, both saw the same precipitation total at 0.49. But our big winner here was Durango with just under an inch, which was about a third of an inch below normal. And at the bottom, we have poor Vernal. Poor Vernal's at the bottom again, but at least they did better than a trace, which is what they did last year this time, coming in with a whole tenth of an inch, which is almost half an inch below normal. Definitely not the best signal, not the greatest, not what we want to see, especially because our drought is getting worse. We still have this pocket of exceptional drought hanging out in the central mountains. The D3 area, the extreme drought here in red, is continuing to expand a little bit. But we did see some improvement in eastern Utah with the reduction of the D3 in the eastern Uintas, and I think there might have been a pocket of D2 down here along the Four Corners, and that has also gone away. And this area has seen pretty much, like, it's stayed pretty constant. And we have seen a little bit of fluctuation across north central portions of the area, but for the most part, really, where we're seeing the biggest changes are in these, central mountain areas, which have really done very, very poorly as far as any sort of snowpack or precipitation. And as far as our drought tendency outlook is concerned, anywhere that we still have drought, which is the majority of the area except for where we have this yellow abnormally dry conditions, we're going to see drought persist. The abnormally dry conditions, we might see that start to get nibbled away too, but there's really no signal here to say yes or no. There's no real signal saying that the drought development is likely, or that we're going to see any improvement. And with the snowpack maps, you can kind of see why. At best, the northeastern Uintas and the Duchesne Basin are sitting at about 70% of normal by this time in the water year. With our northern Colorado basins doing okay. So the Yampa White Little Snake is about 60-65% of normal. Colorado headwaters in Gunnison are, 50 to 60% of normal for this time in the water year. And then our poor southern basins, the San Miguel of Dolores, Animas, San Juan, and southeastern Utah, both 40 to 50% of normal. Definitely not doing awesome. If you look at some of the tendency maps for our snowpack, we are in the bottom 10th percentile. It's not doing great. At this point in our snow season, we would have to have, from here through like the beginning of April, we'd have to have nothing but anomalously high snow events constantly to even get up to normal at this point. So our snowpack is not doing great, and that doesn't bode well for the rest of the year, but we do have monsoon season coming up, and that can put a dent into some of these conditions and at least get us some moisture. But for right now, that's how this stands. And as far as the Climate Prediction Center is concerned, that's how it's going to stay. We have a tendency towards above normal temperatures per the CPC outlook for February. This sort of medium orange shade is 40 to 50% chance of seeing above normal temperatures, and this sort of peachy color is a 33 to 40% chance. So for all of eastern Utah and western Colorado, we're seeing like 30 to 50% tendency towards seeing above normal temperatures. Mind you, if we're even just 1 degree above normal on our average temperature at the end of the month, this verifies. So this isn't going to tell you about the intensity. This is just telling you what the signal is, and the signal is saying we're going to stay above normal. And considering it's already almost the middle of February and we still haven't kicked that 15 to 20 degree above normal temperatures, it's probably going to verify unless something really drastic happens. As far as precipitation is concerned, we are also looking at below normal precipitation tendencies, although this is just the 33 to 40% tendency. It's not the strongest signal in the world, and again, if even just half of our sites come in 100th below normal, this verifies. So CPC, at the very least, is indicating that we're going to continue to see this warmer and drier trend that we've kind of been stuck under for most of the winter, which is unfortunately consistent with this being La Nina winter. The last winter where we saw a similar strength La Nina was 2018, and we saw a very similar progression of the season. So I hate to say it's not looking awesome, but it's not looking fantastic right now. But we are looking to move into a more unsettled period, not necessarily that much cooler, but at least a wetter period as we move into the second half of February. So there's a little bit of hope that we can put a tiniest bit of a dent into the into conditions, but we're definitely not going to see the kind of improvements that we might have seen if this the systems that we're looking at moving in had happened in the second half of December. when we still had, 3 to 4 months of winter left rather than 1 to 2. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you're somebody who likes reading stuff, there's the write-up linked below. It's got a little bit of different information in there. A lot of the same stuff from here, but also some things like records reports and visual representations of precipitation totals and departures. So go check that out. It's fun. It's cool. You'll learn stuff. And also, go check out the top 10 weather events. I finally got that one done. And I will see you again next month for the February summary and also our winter seasonal summary. Have a good one, everybody.